What are your feelings on the whole campaign now, 8 hours after you finally it all ended there in defeat, of course?
Oh, obviously disappointed with the results, mate. We would have liked to have finished higher than third. Our aim was to win the tournament, but there's also a lot of things to be positive about. The development of the team, I think, is going in the right direction. A number of good young players coming through. The amount that the players have learnt during the tournament is immense. And I've never been so excited about the development of the team.
Okay, Charlie Eels a couple of weeks ago spoke about a breakfast meeting that took place in Dublin a year ago. I'm just wondering what message are you going to give to the players on this occasion? He felt he came away from that meeting knowing that there was a line in the sand drawn and it was up to the players to improve quickly in order to keep getting picked for England.
Yeah, completely different situation, mate. I can't question the effort and spirit of the team. I thought throughout the Six Nations it was outstanding. But there are areas of our game we need to improve, and there's about probably a 3% gap between where we are and where we need to be. And that 3% comes through a lot of hard work, a lot of dedicated focus work on certain areas of our game, certain areas to build in our game, and if we do that, we're going to be in a good position. So, much more positive ring than 12 months ago.
How do you get that message across to the public, though? I mean, there's a lot of criticism. England have only won 2 out of 5 games again. How do you make sure that your message gets across and that positivity you're projecting there is heard, and that's the message people take away?
Yeah, well, I only have one forum, mate, and that's you guys. So I'm doing my best now, mate.
Okay, just finally for me, I mean, you've been in this situation before. I'm just wondering, you brought new staff in this season, you Gleeson Cockrell and Seabold. It's their first Six Nations. I'm just wondering, how will they absorb this sort of lesson? It's been a huge learning curve for them, given the way the results have gone and the matches have gone.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Same for the coaches. You know, international coaching, particularly at the Six Nations level, is intense. You don't get much time to get your breath, and they'll be much better coaches for this, and their focus now is to find better ways of coaching their areas. You know, where they can find that 3% of development in their games, whether it be in attack or defence or line out. That's the opportunity for them.
And finally, for me, you expect that your job is safe. That there isn't going to be a review on this, is there?
Well, that's not a question I need to answer, mate. The only thing I'm focusing on now is preparing for Australia.
Good luck. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Liam. Julian, please.
You just talked about 3% you need to improve on. Could you say specifically what that 3% is?
Well, I don't have the exact answers right at this moment, but if I look at the Six Nations as a whole, one of the things we did really well was attack well up until the 22, and then our attacking breakdowns consistently around that 22, too consistently was turned over, where the attack line thickens, and our support play wasn't good enough, so we definitely need to improve our support play, and we need to improve our finishing. You know, if I just look at yesterday's game, we got in France's 22 7 times, they got in our 22 5 times, but they executed at 80%. We executed, I think, at about 45%. And that's the difference in the scoreline. And so how do we improve that finishing? Again, it comes through some hard work. We've got a 9, 10 and 15 that played 26 tests between them. And they'll be much better for this learning experience, and we've got to make sure we keep faith with them because they've got great potential.
Just you've had a few more hours to reflect upon it. What really impressed you about France last night?
Look, the big difference in France between France 3 years ago and France 2 years ago and France now is their tactical discipline. You know, they play a very disciplined game, play to their strengths. They play a long kicking game. They're very strong defensively around their 22. And then they're able to use the strengths of their individuals very well. And in 2 years ago and 3 years ago, they weren't able to stick to that game plan with the same discipline they do now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. We'll come to Duncan, then we'll finish with James Cole. Thank you. Duncan, please.
Hi Eddie, how do you feel about the job that you're doing? And is it in year 7? Is it as easy to get your message across to the players as it was in year 1?
Well, it's a different group of players, mate. So it's a different message. And am I pleased with the job I'm doing? I'm not pleased with the results. Do I think I'm coaching well? 100%. I think I'm coaching well. And sometimes you don't get the results. Look, I've coached for long enough to know that this is all part of rebuilding a team. And rebuilding a team at the international level is a complex and intriguing project, particularly when you're coaching a team like England, where the expectation is so high you don't get any latitude when you're bringing young players through who tend to be more inconsistent as they learn their craft at the international level. But I couldn't be more excited about the prospects for this team.
Have you spoken to Bill Sweeney since last night, and do you plan to meet him this week at all?
Well, that's not my concern, Duncan. My concern is to coach the team really well. And the only thing I'm worried about now is preparing for Australia.
Okay, and is there enough time between now and the World Cup to get the team in the kind of shape that you want it?
100%, mate. 100%. You know, I think we've got 11 tests before the World Cup. And you know, if you look at that, that means Freddie and guys like Marcus and Harry Randall are going to increase their test experience by 100% in that period. So there's a great learning experience for them. Yeah, the timing for our team going to the World Cup, I think, is very good. Very good.
Okay, thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Duncan. And lastly, James Cole. Thanks.
Eddie, I appreciate what you're saying, but for England fans who aren't seeing a development, who aren't necessarily seeing an upward curve, and are questioning whether you're the right man to take the team forward, what do you say?
Well, they've got to have some faith, mate. Yeah, I think I've done a reasonable job for England over the past 7 years. We're going through a period now where we're rebuilding the team, and it takes time, mate. You know, look at the French team. It took them 3 years to win the championship. You know, we've rebuilt the side from the last Six Nations. I think the progress is very positive. The results aren't the results that we'd like. We'd all like to be winning tournaments and all like to be at the top of the table, but we're not quite good enough to do that now. But within the next 12 to 14 months, where we prepare for the World Cup, we will be.
And you have the backing of the RFU?
Well, you'd have to ask the RFU that, mate. As I said, my job is just to do my job, which is to start preparing for the Australian tour now.
Okay, thank you.